Have you ever felt like no matter how much you accomplish, it never quite feels like enough? You hit your goals, check all the boxes, and yet that deep sense of satisfaction remains elusive. Maybe you tell yourself, once I reach this next level, then I'll finally feel fulfilled. But the moment you get there, the finish line moves again. This cycle isn't just frustrating, it's exhausting. It leaves you feeling like you're constantly sprinting toward an ever distant horizon, always striving but never truly arriving. The question is, what if the way you've trained to approach success is the very thing holding you back? And more importantly, what if the real goal isn't just success, but excellence? In this video, you'll learn the difference between overachieving and true high performance, why the constant need to do more often leads to burnout, not excellence, the misunderstood nature of excellence, what it is, what it isn't, and why it matters, how internal mastery creates sustainable external success, and the real reason overachievers struggle with fulfillment, even at the peak of their accomplishments. By the end of this video, you'll have a completely different perspective on what it means to operate at your highest potential, one that doesn't rely on endless effort, but instead on deep alignment and true excellence. For many, the path to achievement has always been about pushing harder. The more hours, the more hustle, the more sacrifice, the better the results, right? This belief is ingrained early. You may have grown up hearing things like hard work pays off, or if you're not pushing yourself to the limit, you're not trying hard enough. And in many ways, that mindset has served you. It's gotten you results, promotions, accolades, financial success. But at what cost? Overachievers often live in a state of quiet dissatisfaction. Even their biggest wins feel temporary, almost as if they have to keep moving or the weight of their own expectations will crush them. There's no room to enjoy success because the mind is already focused on the next goal. And if things slow down, even for a moment, discomfort creeps in because in their world, progress equals worth. Yet, paradoxically, this constant striving often caps potential rather than expands it. Because when performance is driven by stress, tension, or fear of not doing enough, creativity shrinks. Decision-making becomes reactive, and energy, the most valuable resource of all, gets depleted faster than it can be replenished. So while overachievers appear highly productive on the outside, the reality is that they often run on fumes, succeeding in a way that's unsustainable. But here's the key. Excellence isn't about working harder. It's about working in alignment. The word excellence is often misunderstood. Many confuse it with perfectionism or overachievement, but excellence is neither of those things. Perfectionism is rooted in fear. It's the belief that if something isn't flawless, it isn't good enough. It leads to hesitation, anxiety, and self-doubt. Overachievement is rooted in external validation. It's the need to prove oneself through relentless effort, often at the expense of well-being. But excellence is different. It's not about perfection, and it's not about proving anything to anyone. Excellence is about mastery, about fully stepping into your potential, not out of pressure, but out of deep alignment with what you're capable of. Excellence is a standard, not an obsession. It's a commitment to growth, not an addiction to achievement. It's about refining, not endlessly striving. A high performer doesn't chase success for the sake of it. They embody excellence, meaning they bring their full presence, awareness, and intention to everything they do. This creates a different kind of momentum, one that's sustainable, powerful, and deeply fulfilling. So what actually changes when someone shifts from an overachiever to a high performer? At first glance, they look similar. Both have high standards, both push themselves, both achieve remarkable things. But the key difference isn't in the results they get, it's the energy behind their actions. overachievers operate from a sense of urgency. There's a subtle feeling of not enoughness driving their efforts. Even when they accomplish something, it's often tinged with the pressure to immediately do more. Their drive is fueled by stress, proving their worth, or avoiding failure. High performers, on the other hand, don't operate from pressure. They operate from clarity, alignment, and intention. Their actions come from a deep internal steadiness, not a frantic need to keep up. And because of that, they don't just achieve great things, they do it without burning out. Where overachievers measure success by output, high performers measure it by impact. Where overachievers react to external pressures, high performers create from internal vision. Where overachievers push through exhaustion, high performers protect and optimize energy. This shift changes everything, not just in terms of external success, but in the way life actually feels. Because high performers don't just accomplish more, they experience more ease, more flow, more joy in the process. And that's where the real transformation happens. What most overachievers don't realize is that performance is not about doing more. It's about being more present, more attuned, more aligned. External results are always a reflection of what's happening internally. And when someone learns to shift from chasing success to generating it from within, their performance skyrockets. Not because they're forcing it, but because they're finally working with themselves instead of against themselves. It's the difference between trying to swim upstream versus flowing with the current. Both get you somewhere, but one requires far less effort while yielding far greater results. This is the reason why some of the world's top performers, athletes, CEOs, creatives, don't just train physically or intellectually, they train mentally, emotionally, and even energetically. They understand that real mastery begins within. Because when you're no longer driven by stress, but instead by clarity, when you're no longer chasing, but instead creating, when you're no longer proving yourself, but instead trusting yourself, that's when you unlock a level of performance most people never access. Not because you worked harder, but because you aligned yourself before you acted. The truth is, shifting from overachiever to high performer isn't about abandoning ambition. It's about refining it. It's about learning to operate from alignment rather than pressure, from intention rather than reaction. And when that shift happens, everything changes. Not just how much you achieve, but how deeply you experience it. If you're ready to move from endless striving to effortless mastery, the Inner Foundation series is designed to help. It's not about forcing change, it's about training your mind, emotions, and nervous system to work with you instead of against you, so you can create the kind of success that's both sustainable and deeply fulfilling.